Ever feel like life's demands keep stacking up, leaving you wondering how to make room for what really matters? The truth is, creating clarity, focus, and energy in your life doesn't mean overhauling everything all at once. Sometimes it's the smallest, most intentional shifts that spark the biggest transformations. These tiny changes, whether it's adjusting your routines or establishing boundaries, or even rethinking how you approach your day, create momentum. They help you move through life with greater alignment and purpose without the overwhelm. Hi, I'm Leslie Gadet, self care strategist for high achieving women like you, women who are ambitious, purpose driven, and determined to create a life that feels both successful and fulfilling without feeling like you're being pulled in a million directions. Today, we're diving into the power of small shifts and how they can lead to meaningful results in your life and your business. Specifically, we're going to explore what small intentional changes look like and why they matter, how these shifts impact your time, your energy, and your alignment, and practical strategies that you can start using today to create space for what matters most to you. So grab a notebook, settle in, and get ready to learn how the smallest adjustments can create the ripple effect you've been looking for. So let's begin with what small intentional shifts look like and why they matter. Have you ever felt like you're, spinning your wheels, you're putting in a lot of effort, yet you're not seeing the results that align with what you truly want? The thing is, it's not about doing more, but it's more about doing what matters better. So, like small intentional shifts can create that ripple effect that can transform how you approach your time and your energy. These are not about grand gestures or overhauls. They're just about refining the choices that you make every day to align more deeply with your bigger vision. So let me share an example. Imagine a professional. Let's call her Sarah. She's ambitious, she's purpose driven, and she's passionate about her work. But her days are packed with meetings, a massive to do list, and endless demands, some of which are personal. She's productive, but she's exhausted and she feels like something's missing or something is off. One day, Sarah makes a single shift. She decides to block 30 minutes each morning for uninterrupted planning and reflection before diving into her work. At first, it seems small, almost insignificant. But over time, that one small shift becomes a game changer. She gains clarity on her priorities. She starts to feel more in control of her day. And she starts to notice how this focused energy leads to bigger wins, not just in her business, but in her personal life as well. This is the power of small shifts. They don't just help you get through the day, they help you create alignment and get the clarity and the kind of momentum that moves you towards what you really want. And it's not about doing it all. I know a lot of us get into that mindset. It's about doing what matters with intention and most importantly, with what aligns with where you're at in your journey today. So many people I've talked to, myself included, have fallen into the FOMO trap when it comes to the bigger plan. We all have a plan, yes, or at least I believe it's important to have a plan about how to reach your milestones. But your plans, first of all, don't need to be rigid in that you leave yourself closed off to something that could be better than what you first imagined. And also, even if something presents itself, it's really important to recognize if it's FOMO, the fear of missing out, or something that does warrant a closer look. That's where the challenge lies, right? We need to be able to discern that. We plan things out, we start following the plan, right? Then sometimes, well, let's say a lot of the time, other pieces of the puzzle meant for later down the road, they start to present themselves to us. And we get worried that if we don't take a moment to recognize it, whether or not it's important to execute now on the opportunity or wait until it's much more relevant. And that's where that FOMO comes in, fearing that we'll miss out on it and that it won't show up again. But here's my thoughts on that. Being super clear on what you're working on right now, and then setting your calendar as your friend to support you in the things that you have decided to do to reach weekly milestones, allows you to be able to recognize much easier when something comes along that doesn't belong right now. You know that game, what doesn't belong in this picture, when you're presented with some images or shapes. Anyways, my point is this. When that happens to you, ask yourself, does it align with where I'm at right now? Is it truly a priority? And do I have to believe that the opportunity must be acted upon right now? Or can I allow myself to stay focused on what I'm prioritizing so that I complete it and move myself closer to my intended milestone, knowing that it's much better to stay focused and on point and on track, so that when I do complete and meet my milestone, that will then be the time to look at the next step. Also, I always want to reiterate this point, and I think it's really important. Even if you're someone who's highly sensitive to keeping yourself on track, sometimes there's going to be things presented that will be outside of your plan. I believe that that's our cue to explore the idea and being open and curious about it, about the next step in our process of this or something better. You've heard that saying, right? I believe that it is okay to be open to the new ideas or opportunities that present themselves. What I am saying, though, is that it's equally important for you to make sure that when you are open to the new idea or opportunity that presents itself, that comes your way, and that you take the time, that you want to take time to make sure that it fits in with your vision, that you're making sure that it does fit in like right now, that it's not something that's meant for later on. Because a lot of the time we can get caught up with all of this, we have this big plan, and we know, we have it in our brain, like we've gone over the plan and we know, okay, XYZ, like we're going to start like ABC all the way down to Z. And we realize that sometimes maybe something way down the road that presents itself, it's just because it's been on our mind because we planned it out, right? But it's, what I'm saying is being really super cautious when those parts of the puzzle come now, because they're not meant for now, and they can disrupt your flow. So this is why I believe that small shifts have such great impact, because when you take your time to focus on and do one thing great, you take time to acknowledge and celebrate it as a win, it makes it that much easier to move to the next step. And it also helps you to not get into that FOMO mindset when something does come along that maybe doesn't really fit in, or being able to discern when something does come along that looks amazing or really interesting, that you really truly do want to be curious around, and being able to take time to have that quick decision where you take a look at it, you look it over. Does it fit? Does it align? Is it something exciting that you want to add in? And if it is, that's when you can say, okay, yes. But it's having that process to be able to help yourself. And that's where I think clarity is so important, clarity of vision. And I think a lot of people, especially the women I've talked to recently, a few of them that I've done my wellness strategy sessions with, have not had that clarity of vision, because they have that business goal, they have their business ideals and what they want things to look like. But a lot of the time, or even life, what they want their life to look like, but they don't really have clarity on what that looks like, if that makes sense. So here's something to think about. Where in your day could one small change create a ripple effect for you? Maybe it's carving out time to reset your energy, rethinking how you structure your priorities, or even setting a boundary that protects your time. Small shifts matter because they're sustainable. They allow you to focus on what matters to you, to celebrate progress along the way, and to move closer to the life you envision, one that feels both successful and fulfilling. So now let's dive into some tangible examples of how small intentional shifts can have a ripple effect on your time, energy, and also on your alignment. So first thing first is picture waking up, grabbing your phone and in the morning, and immediately you're diving into your emails or text messages, or you're looking at social media. And it's a reactive start to your day that sets the tone for a scattered day, right? But now instead, flip that and imagine this instead. You take just 5 minutes, not an hour, just 5 intentional minutes to sit quietly, breathe, and decide on one priority that will make the biggest impact on your day. That tiny shift that changes everything for you. It allows you to approach your day with clarity and focus rather than feeling like you're constantly playing catch up, right? You've probably felt that at some point in your life. Over time, this habit compounds. It creates a ripple effect of clarity and control that touches every area of your life. Again, like I said, I've spoken with many women lately who have not had that clarity of vision, and that's because there's so many things that are going on. A lot of what I believe is that some of the women I've talked to have been operating from a state of burnout and a burnout state of being and not recognizing it, because again, most times people don't have burnout on the radar. It's usually they're just thinking about symptoms. Yesterday I spoke actually with one of my clients who's participating in my Wholesale Blueprint program about this very thing. She shared that she wanted to start her mornings with a business win, choosing something that would make her feel accomplished and confident. And that made sense to me, of course. Starting her day on a high note would, for her, give her the energy and the momentum to tackle the rest of her priorities that she has scheduled for her day. For many, this idea, I know for many, this idea would resonate well. I know it resonated with me. Starting your day with a single intentional task, whether it's your most important work or a grounding practice, can set the tone for alignment and success. So that, I believe, is really something for us to pay attention to. How do we start our mornings? What do we actually do in the morning that gives us that instant win, that first win of the day? So let's get back to the act of starting with intention, because I think that's important. What could 5 minutes of intentional focus look like in your morning routine? Could it be something like journaling? Could it be reflecting, maybe even visualizing what success means to you? Or maybe it's reviewing your calendar to ensure that your day aligns with your current focus and your priorities. I always feel like it's so important anyways to have that reflection time on your calendar, because your calendar is very telling of where your focus is going and how you're spending your time and your energy. So I think it's really important to look at your calendar as often as possible and being really, really protective of what goes on there, being protective of your time, because it's such an important asset that we have, our most important asset. And when we learn to use it well, helps us with how we intentionally set up our days, and especially when we're clear on what that looks like, and then we're able to feel more focused and feeling like we're more in alignment. Now, this simple habit might also reveal something unexpected, right? Maybe you've said yes to something that doesn't align with your bigger vision, or it's taking up space on your calendar unnecessarily. Things like challenges and webinars and workshops. I'm not saying they're a bad thing, but if they don't fit in with what you're doing right now, they're taking up really valuable time real estate. Recognizing this can give you that opportunity for you to clear that time for what really matters. And even to go a little bit further than that, you actually don't have to fill every space on your calendar, every moment of time. Give yourself permission to leave some white space just for you to decide what you want to do, whether it's spending time with your family, whether it's doing something for you, or simply just taking time to pause and reset. The point is, not every second of every day has to be you in the doing of something. Again, remember, time is finite. It's our most valuable commodity. And so it's so important for us that we're aware of how we use our time so that our time is not using us. Or another way to say that is that you don't become a slave to your time because of what you have on your calendar. In other words, right? So using those 5 minutes intentionally can help you reclaim not just your day, but your energy, your focus, and clarity for what lies ahead. So here's another example. Let's say your calendar is jam-packed with meetings, leaving you with little time to actually focus on your high impact work or to even have a moment for yourself. Now, imagine making one simple decision to say no, to just saying no to that one extra meeting each week. What could that do for you? What's that possibility of what could happen if you said no to just one extra meeting every week? that space. You've suddenly reclaimed it. You've reclaimed an hour to work on a project maybe that's been lingering, or creating space to recharge just for yourself. Again, this isn't about neglecting your commitments, because it's not. It's about being strategic with your time and prioritizing what matters, what's in alignment with today, not down the road, but now. Setting boundaries isn't just about saying no either. It's really about saying yes to what aligns with your bigger vision, that aligns with your time and your energy and the purpose that you have. Think of it as investing in your future self. Now, here's something for you to consider. Is there an area in your life where you could set a small boundary this week? Maybe it's around your work hours. Maybe it's around limiting distractions like unnecessary phone use, or reconsidering how often you say yes to requests that don't align with your vision. Maybe you found it hard to say no in the past, and you're starting to realize that perhaps the more you learn about these symptoms that you've been experiencing, that you could be operating from a burnout state of being, and that maybe it's because you've been saying yes to so many things, and then learning to say, okay, how can I protect my time and energy so that I can say yes to the things that I do want and that actually align with where I'm at right now. Again, as I said, it isn't about neglecting your commitments. It's really about being proactive in how and intentional with your time, and prioritizing again what aligns with your energy and your purpose. So setting boundaries again isn't just about saying no. It's about saying yes to things that truly matter, and it's also investing in your future self. One of my clients recently shared how she felt like her days were running her rather than the other way around. She was trying to tackle a large, overwhelming task that required hours of focus, something that felt impossible in her already packed schedule. So what I suggested to her was to reframe the way she approached that task. So instead of pushing through it all at once, I encouraged her to break it down into smaller, manageable chunks, say like 1 hour every day over the course of her work week. So she's agreed to give it a try, and she's recognizing from our conversation, she's recognizing that structuring her time could not only help her to avoid overwhelm, but it also can allow her to make steady progress without hitting that wall of burnout. It's a small shift, but one that could really help her feel more accomplished and in control at the end of each day. Now, boundaries are not restrictions. There's the difference, and a lot of people, I think, use boundaries thinking that using barriers, thinking they're boundaries. So boundaries are really just, they're not the line in the sand. They're just saying like, these are the things that are important to me. And if something happens where that boundary gets crossed, then there's going to be discussion around it, right? Just to make sure that your well-being is taken care of. On the other flip side, barriers are the things that, definitely you're keeping people away, you're keeping other things away from you, that you're specifically saying, no way, I don't want this, draw the line in the sand, right? So those are the barriers, or keep things away. Boundaries are more about really having those conversations and being able to take care of you, like making sure that, again, your time and your energy is an example, having really maybe, but by, again, protecting your time and your energy, and managing your schedule in a way where you're taking an empowered step toward building your life and business the way you envision it, and having boundaries around how much time you're going to spend doing workshops for other people during a month's time, right? You get asked to do several of them a month, and you decide, no, I'm going to only do one a month. Or someone knowing that you love to do challenges. That might be something, that might be a thing for you. You love going into other people's challenges. And so you say, okay, well, this is the time frame that I'm allotting to doing someone's challenge. If it's a 3-day challenge, I can do it. And I'm going to do one of those only a month. If it's a 5-day, great. If it's a 30-day, not so much, because it's really going to be cutting into my time, which is really important. It's really becoming really super, super protective. Again, like I said, time is our most valuable commodity, and how we use it in, in pairing it with our energy is how we're going to be able to get through our days feeling more focused and in control, and feeling like we're making headway. Okay. Finally, let's talk about mindset. One of the most powerful areas for creating shifts is thinking about like the way you think. Have you ever caught yourself as an example, have you ever caught yourself spiraling into a negative state of being when something doesn't go as planned? Like you just automatically revert to the negative. Maybe you've thought like, why does this always happen to me? Or I'm never going to get this right. I'm always doing things wrong. Now imagine reframing those thoughts. Instead of focusing on the problem, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or how can I approach this differently next time? As an example, I know somebody that had gone to a networking, to a speaking engagement, and it didn't go to plan for her. There were some things that happened, and it really almost derailed her talk. And that was because she was getting in her head about how, oh, this is always happening to me. Why is this happening? I can never do things right. Instead of recognizing that once she finished her talk, being able to focus instead of what went wrong, being able to focus instead of what went right, which was at the end of her talk, she had people coming up to her saying, that was amazing. Thank you so much. I was in tears. Just learning from you was incredible. I want to know more about this that that you're offering. And being able to helping her to be able to instead of focusing on all that went wrong, focusing on what did go right, and then being able to say, okay, how can I approach this differently next time? As an example, she wasn't able to use the tools that she had, like presenting, like slides that she wanted to present. Their equipment wasn't working at the time. So instead, be able to go in having that, okay, if this isn't working, I know that I don't really need that visual. I'm already set up with what I'm going to say, right? Just being able to look at it from a different perspective, and instead of looking at it from a negative perspective, look at it from a proactive way, so that you are solution focused rather than looking at the problem. That single mental shift changes your energy. It helps you move from frustration to possibility. It's not about ignoring challenges. It's about redirecting your focus towards solutions, being solution focused, right? And growth. Right, exactly. Shift your focus from what's going wrong to what's going right. Exactly. So let me share a real example. One of my clients was feeling completely overwhelmed by something seemingly simple, her mail. When I first met her, and she's a previous client, when I first met her at an event I was speaking at, she described how her dining room table had become buried under piles of mail, like piles of paper. She said she'd been shuffling the piles around daily, but they only seemed to grow bigger, and the visual clutter started to take a toll, I should say, on her emotional and mental state. So I went, and I was living in the same city as her at the time. So I made an appointment with her. I visited her home for the first time, and I saw the table, and I thought, this is manageable. But it wasn't about what I was thinking, right? It wasn't what I thought. It was about how she felt. And I had to recognize that. For her, the piles represented months of feeling out of control and unable to tackle what seemed like a simple task. Now, we worked together to develop a system that felt manageable and aligned with her needs. She committed to immediately recycling junk mail as soon as she sorted through it, clearing it out, all the unnecessary clutter before it could pile up, because that was a lot of what was sitting on her table that she kept moving around. And then we created an organized system for her, important mail, specific spot for bills, invitations, and other must-keep items. And that small shift, addressing the mail daily and creating clear systems, freed her dining room table. And more importantly, it freed her mind, because as the visual clutter started to disappear, so did the mental and emotional clutter that it had caused. So it wasn't just about a table full of papers for her. It was about reclaiming a sense of calm and control. And over time, she used the same mindset shift to tackle other areas of her home and her life, recognizing that small intentional changes could lead to big results. And it made her feel better. So here's my question for you. What's one thought or maybe even a task in your life that's been weighing you down? And how can you reframe it or approach it differently to create a ripple effect of clarity and focus, and one that energizes you rather than drains your energy. Again, remember, mindset shifts aren't just about how you think. They're about the actions those thoughts inspire, right? Leading you closer to alignment and a life that feels both meaningful and manageable. It's because it is how we think. As I was talking about, I had said, there are times when people think like, oh, event happens, I immediately feel this way. And they're forgetting that there's this space, I call it the space between moment of the event, of something that happened, and the emotion. And that's our thought. Our thoughts, whether they are subconscious or whether they are immediate, the event happens, our emotion does not kick in first. It is our thoughts. It's our thoughts, or subconsciously, things that we've already tuned in to believe based on repetition. And those thoughts are driving our emotions. And our emotions then are driving our responses. And then our responses then are driving our rewards, whether it's positive or negative. And then those rewards, whatever they are, positive or negative, are also going to reinforce that belief. And it can be a never-ending circle. So when you make that adjustment and start realizing, okay, mindset, it's not just about what I'm thinking, there's more to it. And it's the actions that those thoughts are inspiring based on how we're feeling. That helps us lead us closer to whether we go down the road to staying stuck in those old limiting beliefs, the things that we've allowed ourselves to believe over time and just kept them as part of ourselves, or we can actually reframe them. It takes time, and you're not instantaneously going to believe just shifting a negative into a positive. It's going to take time and leaning into, like, this is what I want to believe. This is what I truly want to believe. This is what I want it to be, so that you can start moving your actions towards what it is that you desire rather than what you're trying to get away from. Okay. So I wanted to really dialed into that a little bit more, because I know sometimes people are thinking, well, it's hard for me to believe, when people talk about, things that they say that are supposed to be inspirational to help them. And they're saying, well, I don't really believe that, switching from a negative to a positive. And yes, over time, it is going to take time. But it's how we are allowing ourselves to either stay stuck in that old way of thinking, or allowing ourselves to say, you know what? This was my reality, or is my reality. I don't want it anymore. I really want this to be my reality. What steps can I start taking? How can I start pouring into myself so that I start believing the new thought that I want to believe, right? It takes time. It's not an overnight thing, but it takes time. And you can do this if you're willing to put in the time for yourself. So when you make even that one small adjustment, whether it's in your routine, whether it's setting boundaries around your time and your energy, or how you're thinking, like your mindset, you're creating that space for alignment, clarity, and focus. And these shifts don't just impact your day. They actually set up the foundation for long-term success that feels aligned with who you are and what you want. The key is really to start small, because sustainable change isn't about overhauling everything at once. So it's not about like saying, okay, I'm going to start doing all of this. Like you hear about people doing morning routines. I'm going to do 6 things in the morning, but they only have like 15 minutes. It can seem impossible and feel overwhelming, and then make you feel like you can't do things, rather than just saying, I have 15 minutes. What am I going to do with that 15 minutes? Well, wait, maybe I'm just going to go for a walk and listen to some music. It's just going to calm me, and it's going to get me into a really great state of being. It's just being able to look at your time and being okay that your self-care, your morning routine does not have to look the same as anybody else. It's your life, you're not living anyone else's life. You're living your own, and your evening routine the same, right? So again, it's to start small. It's about building momentum through intentional, manageable steps. So where can you start? Again, maybe it is a 5-minute morning routine, or it's one clear boundary, or it's a single mindset shift. Whatever that is for you, remember that every small step that you take can bring you closer to greater clarity, energy, and alignment for your life. Okay, let's talk about how to take that first step towards meaningful change To keep things simple, I want to suggest focusing on one area, whether it's your time, your energy, or mindset. Really, I think your time and your energy really do go hand in hand, but it's how you look at them, right? So when you make one small adjustment in just one of these areas, you'll really actually start to feel a difference. Again, it does come down to you putting in the work, and you deciding like, okay, well, what do I want that to look like? You have to put in the work. And when you do put in the work, then you'll start seeing the results. So a simple strategy for reclaiming your time is to start your day with 5 minutes to focus, right? Have a focus session for 5 minutes. Set your timer on your phone. We all have these phones that, most of us, it's stuck to our hip, but set a timer for 5 minutes. And during that time, prioritize your top 3 tasks, or maybe even that one task for your business, having that win, or your personal life that you can do first thing that sets your day up for success. It can just be one thing. This small habit can help you start your day with intention and clarity, ensuring that you're focused on what truly matters to you rather than reacting to distractions. Now, I want to talk about energy management because I feel this is really important. It affects our time, how we take care of ourselves, how we take care of our energy. It really affects our time management. And so I really wanted to dive into that for just a moment. So energy management. When your energy is aligned, everything becomes easier. It just does. It's not about powering through your to-do list. It's about recognizing how you work best and intentionally creating moments to recharge. Everybody manages their energy different. So don't think that yours is going to be the same as anyone else's. And knowing that your natural rhythm can really be a game changer. And I want to explain what I mean by that. Months ago, back in 2024, I did a live around Are You a Sprinter or a Marathoner? And talks about your energy, understanding when you feel like you have the most energy to tackle your tasks. So if you're a sprinter, I'm just going to go into this briefly. If you're a sprinter, you thrive on short, intense bursts of focus followed by breaks to recharge. Multiple breaks. In this case, structuring your day with short blocks of deep work followed by intentional rest is very important and what supports those of us who are sprinters. Now, you might find yourself, say, working for 25 to 45 minutes, and then you take a 5 to 15-minute break and maybe even longer breaks. As I said, I am a sprinter, meaning I thrive when I work in short, intense bursts followed by intentional breaks to recharge. And knowing this about myself has allowed me to create a rhythm where my energy aligns with my tasks. I'm also more intentional about how I structure my days and my weeks, breaking my tasks into weekly and monthly milestones, which helps me stay on track without feeling overwhelmed by the bigger picture. Now, on the other hand, if you're a marathoner, you might be that person who can sustain focus over longer periods of time. And you might find that setting aside uninterrupted blocks of time works better for you. But still, keeping in mind that breaks are just as important for those of you who have the capacity to block out larger chunks of time for tasks before needing to take breaks to recharge. And you might not need to take as many breaks, but still taking breaks is so important. Understanding your natural rhythm allows you to work with your energy, not against it, so you can stay productive and avoid that burnout that most people are, as I said, and I will keep saying this, I'll shout it to the moon and back. Most people aren't aware that burnout is in their realm until they're in it, knee deep in it, because they're looking at the symptoms. They look at the symptoms of burnout as just a one-off rather than looking at patterns, their habits, right? So it's really important to understand that when you take care of your energy, it'll allow you to utilize your time more wisely, and being able to use your time in a way where if you're the most productive in the morning, and that's like your head's down, between 10 and 12, that's when I'm the most productive. And I know that I have this big task. That's when you do it, right? It's not always going to work out that way. There's going to be times in your day where you don't have control over your time. And so that's when it's really important that you pay attention to how you take care of yourself. So you're setting yourself up for those time slots that are not in your control. And that means making sure that you're taking your breaks, that you're recharging, that you're hydrating, that you're making sure that you're eating well, that you're stretching, you're getting up, getting some movement for your body. So first of all, I want to talk about for energy, how to manage your energy effectively. First is to take the intentional breaks, right? The intentional rest periods. When you're busy, it's really easy to power through your to-do list, after, task after task, thinking that breaks will slow you down, right? I get it. But in reality, short intentional rest periods can really boost your productivity and prevent, again, burnout. I'll say it again. And why it matters is that when you take a few minutes to reset between your to-dos, it helps your brain process what you've just done, and it helps prepare for what's next. And it also keeps you from hitting that midday energy slump. So again, as I said, after 25 to 45 minutes of focused work, you want to take a break, whether it's 5 to 15 minutes, whether it's a longer time, and use that time to stretch, to take a few deep breaths, step outside for some amazing, beautiful fresh air, some vitamin D from the sun. Even that quick walk around your workspace can help you clear your mind and re-energize you. It keeping your mind off. And again, um, think of the breaks as an essential reset button that helps you sustain energy throughout the day. And when you do take that break, it's not going from one screen to another. So it's not saying, okay, I'm not looking at my laptop and at work and I'm picking up my phone. No, that means no screen time. That means allowing complete recharge, reset. Next is prioritizing quality sleep. It's not just rest, right? It's actually critical when your body and your mind recover to recharge and prepare for your next day. And the reason it matters is that poor sleep can affect your focus, your creativity, your overall mood. A well rested mind is sharper, it's quicker, better equipped to handle challenges, right? So it's why it's so important for you to learn to set clear boundaries around your evenings. For example, avoiding screen time for at least an hour, 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime, not, even like limiting your blue light exposure, because that can interfere with your sleep cycle. Create a screen-free zone before bedtime, or tech-free zone, and again, that includes your phone. Create a calming routine. Some people like to read before they go to bed. They like to meditate, journal in their gratitude journal. This is going to be a way to signal to your body that it's time to wind down. And then also set consistent bedtime and wake up times, even if you can do this on the weekends, so you can support your natural sleep rhythm. And when you protect your evenings, you're also investing in a more focused, energized version of yourself for the next day. So really make sure that you're taking care of that. And then I also mentioned earlier about hydrating well. It's amazing how something as simple as drinking water can impact your focus and your energy levels. So dehydration, even mild, can lead to fatigue, headaches, and difficulty concentrating. And so staying hydrated helps you stay alert and focused throughout your day. So I start my mornings with a glass of water before reaching for my morning tea. And that's what I would suggest you do as well. Drink some water before you have your coffee or your tea. Keep a water bottle or a glass of water nearby you, and sip consistently throughout the day so you're getting hydrated. And for those of you who don't like drinking plain water, I know there's a lot of people who say, I don't like the taste of water. And I don't really know, I guess, if there is a taste, but try adding lemon or cucumber, like a slice of lemon or cucumber, or fresh herbs like mint. That can make it more enjoyable for you if you need taste. Next, which I feel is so important, is to be intentional around how you fuel your brain, because what you eat directly affects your energy, your focus, and your productivity. And choosing the right food really can help you power through demanding tasks with ease. Your brain is consuming a large portion of your calories when you take that in. So imagine if you're eating high sugar snacks, that might provide you with that quick burst of energy, right? But that's followed by a crash that leaves you feeling drained. On the other hand, when you eat something that's good for you, it can fuel your brain for sustained focus and productivity. So when you know, as an example, that you have a busy day ahead of you, or a big meeting coming up, plan ahead. Have some healthy snacks on hand, maybe like a handful of mixed nuts, or seeds, or healthy fats and proteins, right? Or fresh fruit, or like for the natural sugars and the fiber. Veggie sticks with hummus if you like hummus, or if there's a different type of dip that you like. Even a smoothie would be preferable too. Like just stuff that's good for you, especially if you're going in to do something really important. And when you choose the foods that nourish you, you're going to feel more energized and ready to tackle your day. And again, lastly, mindset. Even a small shift in your mindset can go a long way. When you're faced with a challenge, instead of thinking, why does this always happen to me? Or, why am I always doing things wrong? Instead, just ask, like, what can I learn from this? What is the lesson in this that helps me to do something better the next time? This mental shift can help move you from negative thinking and help move you from frustration to curiosity and solutions. Again, it's not about avoiding challenges because that's life, but it's more about approaching your challenges with a growth focused perspective. Small intentional changes may feel simple, but over time, they create big results. So visualize, like right now, take a moment and visualize your life 6 months from now. If you commit to just one small shift a week, like what could your life look like? Where could you be? Like, how would you feel? These small shifts aren't random, they're intentional steps towards living a life that you want. In fact, what's one small shift you're committing to today? Maybe it's setting a boundary, carving out time for rest, starting your morning with intention. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So drop your ideas in the chat, and let's cheer each other on. Now, if today's conversation sparks something for you and you're ready to explore how these small, meaningful adjustments can create big results in your life and your business, let's connect. So if you go into my bio, my headline, you will see that there's a link there to schedule a wellness strategy session. These are complimentary. And what we do is together we'll uncover strategies that can help you align your time, your energy, and focus with what truly matters. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, go into the About section, and you'll find my email in there. Just send me an email and I'll send you the link. Remember, creating a life that feels aligned and fulfilling doesn't happen overnight. It's the small, intentional adjustments that make the biggest impact over time. The ripple effect of just one small shift can transform how you approach each day. You've already taken the first step by showing up today. Now keep that momentum going. You've got this. And you know what? I can't wait to see the incredible changes that you create, especially if you are bold enough to start sharing them and share them with your friends, share them with your family, share them with your work colleagues. We are better together when we work together, when we support each other, when we can say, hey, I want you to have as incredible a life as I'm, working towards. Let's do this together. Anyways, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you so much. Take care, and I'll see you again next time.